Hi folks, G3 here, and welcome to another instalment of my journey to go green.
Well folks, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoy it, then please remember to click the like button, and also if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you get notified when I load up a new video. Right, let's get on with the video.
In today's episode, we're going on a road trip. We are going to the Cotswolds. So the first day we're going to go to Bath. Next day we're going to go to Sudeley Castle, and then the final day before travelling back we're planning on going to Boughton-on-the-Water. So a few different places we're going to. We've done a bit of preparation in advance to try and work out what the lie of the land is. So we've looked on ZapMap to try and work out what sort of charges are in the area. I signed up to a couple of networks, so BP Polar and also a local one, which I can't remember. I'll obviously mention it when we get to it. So I've made sure that I've got access to a few networks that we might be needing down there, which is a shame that, you know, not everything is seamless and you can't be using the sort of same contactless card payments and the like. That will make life a lot easier. We've done a little bit of prep by looking at a better route planner to work out the route and the likely stopping point. It's from here, it's roughly 190 miles from Dover to Bath. And the recommendation is that we are going to be stopping midway at Membury service stations at the supercharger there, apparently. So that seems fine. And depending on the sort of charge that we need, the stop was going to be round about 20 to 30 minutes. Now, the reason I say about the charge that we need is that there's not a huge number of fast chargers in the area that we're going to in the Cotswolds. But there are some dotted around, but we'd need to use a little bit of charge getting to those. So it's going to take a little bit of forethought, I think. There's a lot of smaller chargers, like 7 kilowatts, so there's going to be a trickle feed. But they don't add a huge amount in. We're aiming for a car park in Bath in Charlotte Street, which is near a lot of the sites like the Crescent and I can't remember the name of the bridge over the river with the shops on it and the weir and all that kind of thing. So some nice areas, but we're aiming for a car park that has a charger at it, but it is only a 7 kilowatts, so we'll be able to trickle a bit in there, but we will need to think about where we're charging. So we might stop for a little bit longer at the supercharger to put a bit more charge in so that we don't need to worry quite so much about charging later in the day, but we'll see.
The first thing we did was to make sure we had ample charge before the trip. So a day before I went to our local Lidl where there's a Pod Point fast charger and topped up to, I think I got it up to about 93% before there was another car waiting. So just been passed by a Porsche, electric Porsche, very nice. Yeah, so at the Pod Point I charged up to about 93% because there was another car that had turned up, so I wanted to free it up for them. But that was, I thought, sufficient, which wasn't too bad, but it gave us the peace of mind that we could make a reasonable chunk of the journey before needing to stop and charge. Right, this is our second stop. The first one we went to was Wokingham, the superchargers. We got there with about 36%, and we got there with about, I think, 120% full bladders. And unfortunately, the trouble with a lot of the supercharger stations is that, I mean, they don't have the facilities there unless they're right with other facilities, but they don't normally have them. And this is right by a Hilton hotel.
The hotel, but unfortunately they use hotel for the quarantine area.
And we were hoping that we were going to be able to use the toilets there, but that wasn't the case. So Mrs. G3 went and spoke to some of the security guards that were there, and that's how she found out what they were. So we had to go on, and we're at Reading Services on the M4. It was a quick hop because of an imminent bladder explosion. But we're here, we've been able to use the services. We are now charging after an initial change, because the first machine that I went on to loved the electric highway and its vagaries, but the first one wasn't working, so I've had to move to the other bay. This, we're just using an AC charging. Yeah, we're only drawing 22 kilowatts on this one, so it's not ideal. We'll do a bit of research once we've got our coffee and nibbles, and we'll work out what the next step is. But we got a reasonable percentage, so maybe we need to carry on our journey down to a faster charger further down en route before we get to Bath. So already we've hit some issues. The first one, no facilities at the supercharger stop that we're at, so we had to move. And then the next one, the first charger that we used on the electric highway wasn't working. I know they're rolling out new ones across the network. It can't come soon enough because the reliability isn't great and this one's quite slow. Okay, our third charging stop en route. We are now at Membury Services. We've stopped here because they've got some superchargers, so we're able to boost it a bit. I think we've got here with 42%, I think it is. So that's great. We are now drawing 64 kilowatts at the moment, so that's great. So we're going to get a coffee and a bit of food and get a bit of charge while we can, and then we're going to be back on our way. Well, we made it to Bath. We're parked in Charlotte Street car park. The charging took a little bit of time to set up because it was under Revive network, so the old Genie app wasn't connecting for me. I had to go onto a website to do it, and then although I got on to set it up in advance, the card payment still had to be done and take a minimum card payment, so that was done. It's, I think, a 7 kilowatt charge, so it's a trickle feed, but we managed to park okay. Bit of a tight squeeze. They only had, I think, 4 bays there, but that's fine. They got loads of parking there. It's just 4 electric bays. So, I mean, obviously we're here in Bath now. We've got the Crescent behind us, one of the most famous landmarks. We're going to be also checking out the Circus, which is like a roundabout with houses all around it, very old, very ornate houses. We're going to go down and check out the bridge, whose name I keep forgetting, and the weir, and just have a general look around Bath and enjoy it. But we finally made it. It's about 2 hours after we intended to, because we had 2 extra stops than we intended because of comfort breaks and issues with electric highway not working. But you know, that's just how it goes. So we'll take you around Bath a little bit. Here we are at Pulteney Weir. A few paddle boarders. And there's Pulteney Bridge. They've got shops over the bridge. A bit like the Rialto Bridge in Venice. I think that's one of only 2 in the world, I think it is. We've been enjoying a bit of a wander around Bath so far. Seen a few interesting places right next to the royal baths where Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein. At least she wrote most of it there, apparently. Not the quietest of places with the weir here, but enjoying Bath. We've had a nice time around Bath. We've got back to the car and we're at 85%. So there was a nice amount that went in. I don't know how much it cost as yet. I'll check that out later. But the Revive network was pretty good once it got going. So that's great. We've been able to park, enjoy a little bit of time around Bath. We've been here, about 3 hours, having a wander around. And we put in a reasonable amount. I think it was 18 kilowatts, I think we put in whilst we were there. So that's great. What did you think of Bath?
Yeah, very nice.
Good, wasn't it? Some interesting old buildings, some really old stuff. It's quite busy. Lots of people there enjoying it, which is good to see. But we had a nice time. So we're going to go and find our guest house now, aren't we? B&B. So we'll be off, and then because we've got 85% in, I think that'll be more than enough for tomorrow. So we should be fine. We'll get there fine, so we can charge afterwards. So there's no worries in the morning, which is great. Today we're at Sudeley Castle. Which is quite a historic castle in a bit of a valley. There's some very nice gardens here. They've got an elephant exhibition on at the moment. I'm not quite sure the relevance of the elephants to Sudeley Castle. I don't think there's a connection. It's just a nice thing for them to be doing, I think. Quite a few people here today, but it's quite good that they've got a ticketing system, so you have to have pre-booked and booked a time slot to enter. So we managed to get one that was quite early in the day. Part of the castle and the elephant herd in the ground. We had a lovely time at Sudeley Castle, really nice, looking around the grounds and the elephant exhibition. So yeah, it's really really nice. We then decided to come on to Stow-on-the-Wold, and we've arrived at Tesco's. We were just heading for what I thought was going to be a big car park, and it is a big car park. We thought we might struggle to park, but we've actually been okay, haven't we? Nice bonus is they got some pod point chargers here. So we're now plugged in, pulling in around about 7 kilowatts, and it is a free vend. Free electricity. Woo! It's making it even cheaper.
But we have to find out about how long can we park.
Yeah, we're not sure how long we can go here. I mean, obviously, it's going to be for shoppers, so we'll nip in and grab something. But yeah, it's great. So we are now having a bit of a trickle charge. So that's just making it all that little bit easier for us. So we're going to investigate Stow-on-the-Wold. We're back in the Tesco's car park now. We've had a nice time round Stow-on-the-Wold. We have been parked for probably about 2.5 hours using the Pod Point charger here on a free vend. And we got here at 41%, we're now at 59%. So that's great. We've had a good bit of extra charging and it hasn't cost us anything. And we've had a nice time going around Stow-on-the-Wold. So fantastic. Really good. It's quite toasty now. The air conditioning is working away. Trying to get it down because I forgot to condition it before we got here. Now I think we're going to go on and have a look around Boughton-on-the-Water because hopefully most of the crowds will have gone, so we'll be able to get there okay. Today we are visiting Castle Coombe. So we've parked in Upper Castle Coombe and we're just wandering down to the lower part. Nice cottages here on the approach road down. Quite typical of the area with the stone. Very nice, very busy here already, and it's only just gone to 10:30. Higgledy-piggledy one there. Oh. Yeah. Oh, he's going back up now. That's the one that had been down up the hill before and was making a row. I assume he's gone and got his exhaust done specially for it. Oh, we just had a nice little walk down to Castle Coombe, which was rather busy. We had a bit of a queue to get to the toilets because there was only one open because of COVID, but the rest of the place was very nice, picturesque, but an awful lot of people just milling around and probably disrespecting the space of the locals and their houses and the like. But I guess that's an unfortunate thing that happens when you're living in a touristy spot. But it was really nice to see, lovely little place. Looks like a nice little community. So good. Now we're going to try and find somewhere else to go on to. I think it's Lacock, I think is the place we're probably going to go to. So we'll be on there. We've had a nice time today so far at Castle Coombe, and now we've been at a place called Lacock, which is a lovely village, some nice old houses and streets. The reason for coming here is that there are a number of film locations that were used in the Harry Potter films, certainly the first couple. So there was one that we saw that was used as the house of Harry Potter's parents in a sort of flashback scene, so we saw that. We are now in the grounds of Lacock Abbey, which is a National Trust place, and this was used extensively for a lot of the internal scenes for Hogwarts, so things like the cloister scenes and that kind of stuff. So Lacock Abbey in the distance over there, so that's been used for a number of scenes in the Harry Potter films. It's really nice and peaceful here, just resting our legs because we've been walking a lot, so it's just nice to have a bit of a rest. We've just arrived at Membury Services on the way back, and this is the lowest it's ever been for me battery wise. We have showing 8% on screen, and it came up with a warning to say battery being very low, and we're on 8% here, so this is the lowest I've ever had it. We're plugged in at the supercharger. I'm using the CCS connector so that we've got super fast, and because the battery was so low and we had set it the destination as this supercharger, so it knew to get the car ready, we are drawing 60 kilowatts of power. Because this is a high use area, it's going to limit the percentage we can go up to 80%. I'm just going to see what the map had suggested. Now, it had suggested a 45-minute stop here, but on the map now I can't see what it's suggesting that we should charge to, and I didn't notice before we stopped. But we're going to have a comfort break. We'll have a decision about what sort of percentage we're going to go to depending on time, because there's other superchargers that we can stop out en route back. But I think we both need to use the
facilities.
Yes. We've had a bit of food at Membury Services. We haven't been here that long. Oh, it doesn't feel like that long, but we're almost up to 80% charge. So we've gone from 8% up to 80% to continue our journey. And the amount of time it took us for the charging was the amount of time we needed for our stop, for using the facilities and having a bite to eat as well. It's fine, it's fitted in around our journey. We are up to 80% by the look of it, almost there, and we're down to 37 kilowatts now. So we'll continue our journey soon. So it's finished charging. Just get it to release. Unlock the charge port. Got my connector there, which I need to take out as well. And then this one can go back in. And remember to take my CCS connector with me. Back down and we're done, and we can get on our way from Membury.
The final stop on the way back was at Clacket Lane Services to use the electric highway. I didn't get any footage from here because I think we were a bit weary by then, but there wasn't any issue with using the charger. We were able to connect up pretty much straight away. It looked like it had been 10 rounds in a big boxing match because the bollards were all over the place. It was quite a mess, but it was working fine. We put in approximately 27 kilowatt hours and it cost us £8.22 to get that extra bit in, and we needed a comfort stop and a bite to eat, so that worked out quite nicely for us. And then we made the rest of our journey home, which was another 60 miles approximately. So with that 60 miles added on, the total mileage we covered through all this trip was 533 miles, and it cost us £54.58 for all of that. I've included £8 for the cost of the final 60 miles that I did. So all told, it comes in at 54.58. Bearing that in mind, that means that we had an average cost of 10 pence per mile, which I think is really good. Considering we were charging out and about, we were paying market rates pretty much. I think that's pretty good. We were able to take advantage of one lot of free charging at Stow-on-the-Wold at the Pod Point, Tesco's, and we managed to put in 14 kilowatt hours there for no charge. That was great, that really helped out. But I think 10 pence per mile, really affordable. So what did we take from the trip? Well, it was really manageable. We didn't have a huge problem. Yes, we did have an issue with a couple of the charging. So one of them, there weren't the facilities at, so we had to go on elsewhere, but the chargers themselves were fine. Electric highway, we did have an issue with one of them, but they're all being upgraded at the moment. Contactless payments, fast chargers, they're rolling that out across the network now that GridServe have control of those. So that won't be a problem. That's fantastic to see. We did find that there was a lack of fast charging in the Cotswolds in general, but because we were using ZapMap and we'd able to sort of plan in advance, we made sure that we had enough charge going before we got there, and that we were able to stop and make use of a 7 kilowatt charger and get some free charging on while we were there. So that wasn't a problem. It just meant that we needed to be mindful of what we were doing charging wise and make sure that we had enough for getting to the different areas, but it wasn't difficult. It was quite manageable. And all of the time that we were stopping for charging was when we needed comfort breaks or feeding, or we were out somewhere, so it didn't matter where we were charging there. At no point did we have to stop specifically to charge and twiddle our thumbs while we were doing it, which is the way it should be. That is how you are driving when you've got an EV. It is just part of the process. You can charge up whilst you're doing the other things you need to do. And it was brilliant. Cost-wise, it was fine. It worked out at 10 pence per mile, which is great. That's probably a little bit less than I'm paying at the moment with the local driving, because we were probably being more efficient with the length of driving we were doing and the way that the battery was primed for charging and for use. So that was all fine and dandy, no problem whatsoever. So I thoroughly recommend you having a go at your own trip away and making the most of the experience. It hasn't put me off going on a trip in any way, shape or form. In fact, we're really excited about doing more. So Mrs. G3 and I are, within about a week, going on a much longer trip around the country. We've got a week off, and we are going to be travelling up to York, then on to Inverness, then down to the Lake District,
We're going to be going down to Chester after that and then back home to Dover. So we're going to be doing that in a week. We'll have an extra day in York, a day in Inverness because we're visiting my brother and his family up there. And we're going to be doing roughly just over 2.5 times the mileage we did in this trip. All told, it's going to be about 1,350 miles. A good long trip. I think it'll be good fun and it'll be a good test. And I have no qualms about doing it after the trip to the Cotswolds, which was really nice. Really enjoyable. I'm only sorry that I didn't get more coverage of our actual driving. I'm sorry, but the camera positions weren't good. So that's something I'm going to be looking at when we're doing the trip up to Inverness. Well, there you go, folks. That was our trip to the Cotswolds and how it all panned out from a charging and cost perspective. I hope you found it interesting. If you did, then please click the like button down below. And if you haven't done so, then why not add your comments down below? Let me know about your experiences on long journeys. If you've got any tips that will help us when we're going up to Inverness, perhaps things about the charging in Scotland that you think we'll find useful, that'd be wonderful. Well, thanks for watching, folks. Until next time, bye.